Okay, skill 25, systems of equations. Systems of equations come up frequently on the ACT. That's why it's one of the top 10 ACT math skills, both as isolated questions and as part of word problems, all right? We're going to talk about a few areas with systems of equations, the most important one, okay? So first of all, a system of two linear equations has either 0, 1, or infinitely many solutions, all right? So let's look at those. So this is an example of having 0 solutions. Sorry, blank for a second. And you can kind of see they have 0 solutions because they never intersect. They're parallel lines, okay? Parallel lines have 0 solutions. Anything with the same slope has 0 solutions. An example would be something if the equations looked like this, right? We have y equals x, that's the red line, and y equals x minus 2, that's the blue line. They both have a slope of 1, but they have different y-intercepts, so they have 0 solutions. So another example is one solution, and that's your most typical scenario where you have two lines just crossing each other, two different lines, right? Here, the slope is, the first one is y equals x, so that's the slope of 1. And this is y equals 2 minus x, so that's the slope of negative 1, that's the blue line. And if they have different slopes, automatically they have just one solution. And the third example is infinite solutions. And basically that's the same line, right? Y equals x, 2y equals 2x. It looks kind of like they're different lines, but they're the same line because if you divide both sides by 2, then you're left with y equals x here as well, okay? So that's where you see it. Infinite solutions, same slope, same y-intercept. No solutions, same slope, different y-intercept, and one solution, everything else. Next, elimination is usually the best way to solve problems, systems problems on the ACT. All right, they're pretty straightforward, and elimination, if you have a basic system of equations problems like we'll look at, then elimination is usually the best method. So let's look at this one. So x plus 2y equals 12, x minus 2y equals 8. Elimination means we're going to get rid of one of the variables. In this case, what we'll do is add these equations up. We're going to get x plus x, which is, and it just comes here, which is 2x. And 2y plus minus 2y is 0y. And 12 plus 8 is 20. So we end up with just 2x equals 20. And at that point, it's really easy to see that x equals 10. And then if we just put in x for 10 here, we have what's going on here. 10 plus 2y equals 12. Subtract 10 from both sides, 2y equals 2, y equals 1. So this is the elimination method. And for most ACT systems of equations problems, this is going to be your best bet. You might need to use substitution. All right, you will need to use substitution in nonlinear systems. So that means like where you have a quadratic and a linear together. You will have to use substitution for that. But so let's just see how it works. So here's an example of a case where we might use substitution. X minus y equals 7, 2x plus 3y equals 9. So if we solve for x here, just adding y to both sides, then we end up with this. X equals 7 plus y, just adding y to both sides. So then we could put in 7 plus y into this x here in the second equation. And we end up with 2 times 7 plus y plus 3y equals 9. We distribute everything, and we end up with 14 plus 5y equals 9. Subtract 14 from both sides, 5y equals 5, y equals negative 1. And then we just put in negative 1 here or here, and we end up with x equal to 6. Okay, so that's substitution. The problem with substitution is that it's just a little bit easier to make a careless mistake or to do something, especially with like positives and negatives, and kind of do it in the slightly the wrong way, and you get the wrong thing and you're hosed. So elimination is usually better. So that's what you should stick with, unless for some reason you just can't eliminate for some reason. Okay. So one last thing. Since the entire ACT's calculator active, graphing the equations and finding the solution that way may be quicker if you are having trouble solving with other methods. All right, I'm not going to get into graphing it. If you've used a TI-84 graphing calculator, it's pretty straightforward. You go to the graphing and you put in the equations, and you could see the solutions that way. But honestly, elimination is usually faster than that, and often substitution is too. So only do that basically if you can't figure out another way to do it.